I'm here with Special Berries. We did a project about 4 years ago called "You Best Not Miss." It says my internet is unstable. That's great. um, so just kind of refreshing my memory about like how did we kind of link up. I remember getting invite down to that open mic down at the Smokers Lounge or whatever it was down in Virginia, and it was kind of like I don't remember other producers playing. I'm trying to remember what like if there were other beat makers, but I played stuff, and then everybody kind of did like short sets, like somewhere like kind of over other instrumentals and stuff like that. Or
the cranberry, that shit just one time. I mean the watermelon, never had it. I look like the Mad Hatter.
But it was such a cool event. It was just like people I didn't know anybody in the room before. I remember talking to you and Chris Flight, I think, and like one or two other guys kind of came through, and like everybody was just super receptive. And like Fleetwood DeVille had set that up, and I think I met him through some other people. I had to pick him up at the train station and stuff like that. So it was just kind of a cool event. And then I feel like we hadn't like talked for a while. And I just remember reaching out on Twitter. It's just because I got, at that time I had more time on my hands than I do now. That I was just like, hey, I've got so much sitting on so much like just new beats and things like that, like trying to figure out a way to like share with some more people. And you would kind of reach back out and you're like, hey, send me some stuff. So that's, to me, that's kind of how this project came together. Do you remember anything any different or?
Yeah, I remember that. It's hard to remember all the details, but yeah, I definitely remember, linking up from after the show through Twitter. And yeah, like I was rapping mostly back then, so I was really looking for other producers, and I was trying to link up with other producers at the time because I wasn't really making my own stuff at the moment.
Sure. And I do want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I kind of had a track list, and I might throw like one or two clips, and I was just trying to remember. Yeah, I think that was kind of one of the other questions. Like, what was your, it's been 4 years, so like life moves pretty quick now. The world has been through a lot in about 4 years. Like, what was your life like then versus now? Like, in terms of like, what you're doing or where you're at or anything like that.
So like 4 years ago, I was still kind of just like trying to figure out a way. I was kind of floating around. We put out this project, and I just kind of, with every project I wanted to kind of level up, I guess you should say. So, when I heard the beats, I was like, okay, when I heard the beats, I was thinking, like this sounds like a pretty good project, it even tells kind of like a story. So, at the time I was kind of like just trying to level up and try to do more professional, kind of like rollouts, I guess you could say. And yeah, I just want to kind of get a little more visible on the scene here.
Sure. Yeah, I was trying to like going back through the songs, and I was just trying to think about like where I was, and like my daughter turned 5 this year, so this was like right after that. And like I remember like they're the one that Don't Hold Back, like the it's like a Rasa is the group. It's like I probably shouldn't say what samples are from, but like I was just like, oh, I remember like working on that in this particular room, and like I had this like kind of, it was like a guest room, so it was just like crates and crates of records. And we moved like a couple years after that, and I just like get rid of so many of these like dollar bin records. It was like kind of a nightmare. Yeah, between that and the 37th chamber, like it's got a sample on it from like a famous Baltimore rapper, and I was like, oh, I love this, and I'm surprised nobody's ever like picked up on it, like they knew what it was. But
kick in the door, unsheath the blade. Bush ass niggas, y'all need a fade. Bobcat digger, I need a grave. Super cat killer, don't die to aim. R. Kelly niggas don't need my age. Brad on a bootleg, leak your face. Move like Fort Bragg, boot get laced. Drew on deep by the street of age.
I think he's kind of sort of obscure, but also just, I don't know. That was just like another way to tie it back into Baltimore. Did you want to mention anything about anything specific about any of the tracks or?
Yeah, I had a good time making it. I feel like the sounds, they all, pretty much flowed and went together. But it was also like, like they kind of stood out in their own way. So, I was excited to work on them, and at the time I was kind of like going like just I was just by myself in the world, like I had my friends and I was working at the time, but I was still kind of figuring myself out. So, I would go like on little trips here and there. I remember going to New York at the time and, just seeing what was going on out there, going record shopping and shit. That's what the Brownstone Boogie Joint, that's what that was about. I was out in New York at the time.
Sweating on the headrest, split a cigar. Dump a cigarillo guts out of the car. Amnesia ass niggas know who I are. Give you anesthesia when I'm below par. Swing the iron on my.
Cool.
And I was just kind of solo, and I was just wanted to kind of see other places and kind of feel the energy of other cities at the time. And like I was also getting into film a lot. I kind of always enjoyed it, but I kind of tried to write differently. Kind of like as a like an artist that was kind of like describing things through like different mediums and things like that. Like painting or just anything that's not necessarily I guess like traditional. But I try, because it was like I think about Stevie Wonder and how he was like a pretty good artist. And he's a really good lyricist, but obviously he can't really. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what his situation is, but it seems like something might get in the way. He actually, he has a lot of advantages at the same time.
Mhm. Sure. Like right after that show you had come up, I started doing some like producer events at the time, and I kind of want to eventually get back to that. It's just there hasn't been much time. And you were still rapping at the time, and it seemed like sort of right after that, sort of when you transitioned out of that. Since you've done both kind of a lot, you're more specifically a producer now, a beatmaker. And that's, I mean, whichever one you prefer. How would you explain to somebody like what the difference between like, rapping at a show versus playing beats, like, is it a different type of energy, or is there a different nervousness, or like what's, how do you, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, like as an MC, you kind of got to work with the crowd and get reactions from them, and get them to feel what you're doing up there. You can do that as a producer too, but it's not really heavily on like the performance, I guess. People can perform, I guess, but you just playing beats. It's just you and the beat pretty much, So it's about getting reactions from how good it is to them and how it's making them feel. So I guess you're dealing with people's feelings for both of them. But you know, when it's you as an MC standing up there rapping, you kind of gotta engage the audience and create moments, that are pretty serious to come by. Like you gotta do some stuff that's gonna live past whatever you do.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I played an event a couple weeks ago, I guess the end of August, and everybody just had a different style in terms of like, how they were playing beats or with their style. It was kind of cool to see. Like it was just like, even in terms, like you're saying, like in terms of like, crowd interaction, like there was one guy who was on the mic and was talking about things, and it was just like, trying to get, I was like, this is the impressive, like this is the way to do it. So I just didn't have it in me. I kind of put my head down and kind of ran through stuff. In terms of making beats, like what is your process? Because I feel like everybody approaches it a little bit different. And you could talk about, whatever kind of tools or, software, anything that you use, but like, what is like your normal, you sit down on a Monday night, you've got some time, you just finished dinner. Like what do you normally do?
Well, I usually set up at a table. I got like a table where I got my turntable. I usually got an SP 448, next to that. And I usually got like a laptop. And other than that, I got like a keyboard to the right. It's like perpendicular to all that stuff. But like sometimes I can go from something I found from the internet or a record I might have. I might feel like going through records and listening to those. And I just kind of, like for me, I start with the drums and like, kind of making a groove because I feel like a groove is something I just want in my music. I think I got that from like a Tribe Called Quest because
Mhm.
like, they had songs that were like about different things, different social issues or different things they want to bring awareness to. But it was over a pretty good beat too. It would be something to dance to. So that's where I get that idea from. I try to get like a nice groove, and then from there, I chop up the sample. I recently been using the SP for that, and I just put everything through that, and I got an interface. I put it through that, and then it goes to the laptop where I got Ableton. So I put everything in there, and that's where I started getting creative with it.
So is there one particular thing or skill that you're trying to improve at this time? Is there something you're like, I'm almost there, but I just need some more practice and kind of like, or something you've seen or heard, you're like, oh, I want to figure out how to do that and kind of see how I can like work on that.
Oh yes, there's a couple things. I definitely want to get my drum patterns a little better because sometimes I'll just kind of try to get like something simple or something that's not too complex for like just the sake of finishing a song because I don't like to leave stuff unfinished. Usually.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm definitely trying to get my drums together and just make them interesting, make them head nodding, of course, and something that you could probably throw into a dance mix too. But other than that, I'm definitely trying to. I'm always trying to learn about theory because that's helpful when you're making music, even with your samples.
Mhm.
When you gotta play other shit, like bass, or you want to add pianos and shit. You gotta know what is the notes that's being played by the sample too. Because most producers, depending on how it goes for you, they try to have everything in the same key. So but yeah, get my drums together, learning a little more about theory, and just staying creative. I got an NPC I'm trying to figure out how to use now too.
In terms of who you're like playing shows with and stuff like that, I just had a note like a DC collective, like what talk to me about a beat scene in DC. Is there such a thing? And then like kind of what does that look like now, or is it just yeah, I'll keep it at that. So what's going on with that? What's happening in DC with the beats?
Yeah, it's still some stuff I gotta learn, but it's always been some type of like beats, like a cipher thing in DC, like that type of scene where producers pull up and people pull up and they play beats and ciphers will be breaking out, but it's gotta be like a lot more, you know, I guess it could like common for things to be like organized formally in the city, because like a lot of open mics, they kind of serve multiple purposes. They'll have like musicians, they'll have producers, they'll have singers. So I think like open mics kind of set the stage for just like sharing what you do. but recently it's been a lot of like, okay, we're doing like an open mic beat kind of thing. And like, you know, I know it's always been stuff happening in DC, but I feel like the recent like rising or like ascension of like beat ciphers and culture like that, I definitely feel like it's been stronger in the recent last few years, and we've been a part of that. I got a group that I do stuff with, you know, that I do shows with. You know, we kind of work together on occasion called the Air Hustlers. So that's what I'm working with and you know, doing all these shows with, and you know, hopefully we get some projects out of it too.
Cool. So I think that leads me to my last question. Like what are you working on now, or like other upcoming projects, or with any other artists or anything like that? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I don't have a like a formal project I'm working on, but I, you know, I make beats all the time, so I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of you know, prepare everything, and you know, how I can like, you know, make certain things work, and you know, just kind of like figuring out these next couple of records and what I want to do. So yeah, I'm still in the planning stages, but I definitely have some music coming.
Okay. To me, you were, I mean, maybe not necessarily, but in people that I follow, started using kind of like shorter, like, clips on social media, especially it seemed like especially when you were first starting to kind of like get the word out that you were a beat maker and that kind of stuff. Um, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's like, I feel like I've come around, like, and it, like when I started putting out music, the push was like, oh, you've got to have a music video, which is 3 to 4 minutes and takes time and the resources that you may or may not have, versus kind of these like clips that are like, 20, 30 seconds. What do you think about that stuff? Like, do you think is it important, like, as a musician, or is it just kind of, I don't know, fluff?
I mean, you know, I feel like it's just kind of, I hate to say it, like it's different levels, but you know, that's the word I'm getting right now. You know, I feel like it's different levels depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Because, you know, whatever you market, like however you market, that should be a reflection of kind of like what you're going for, to like, you know, what kind of results you're trying to see. So if you just kind of want to get your music out there, you know, just make it like a simple here, listen to the music, and you don't really want to do too much with the video, you know, you can always get like a little sample clip and you know, link it to the video like that.
Yeah.
But you know, other than that,
Yeah,
you know, no, go
it's
ahead.
it just seems like there's so many people, like I think when all that first started, to me, like they were just trying to do too much. They were just like, finger drumming like crazy, and I was like, okay, part of
Oh
me didn't
yeah.
even think half of it was real. But it's been interesting to me. Like, I don't necessarily, I like watching them for a second, but like, but if somebody was like, hey man, check out my video, and it's like 4 minutes, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I've never really been a big, I understand they're important, and so, but some people, like, I'm not like, I don't know, I sound like an old man, but it's just like where people like, grew up on YouTube and they watch YouTube as like a, a TV channel, like it's nothing to them. And it's just like, I've never been like that. So I like having these short clips, and it kind of pulls me in a little bit more. And I don't know, I guess it's almost easier to digest than like something more. I don't know. That's just my thing. I sound like an old man.
Yeah, I feel like you can't really go wrong with it. Like, you know, if you have something like something to offer, you know, people, you know, if they'll give it an honest listen, they'll understand what you're trying to do. So, you know, they'll take it for what it is, and you know, hopefully they'll still support you how they can.
Sure. All right. So I got two more for you and I'll let you go. So you're playing, so I mean, this is a broad question, I guess, but like in terms of, who you're like playing shows with and stuff like that. I just had a note like a DC collective, like what, talk to me about a beat scene in DC. Is there such a thing? And then like kind of what does that look like now? Or is it just, yeah, I'll keep it at that. So what's going on with that? What's happening in DC with the beats?
Yeah, it's still some stuff I gotta learn, but it's always been some type of like beats, like a cipher thing in DC, you know, like that type of scene where, producers pull up and, people pull up and, they play beats and, ciphers will be breaking out. But it's gotta be like a lot more, I guess it could like common for things to be organized formally in the city, because like a lot of open mics, they kind of serve multiple purposes. They'll have like musicians, they'll have producers, they'll have singers. So I think like open mics kind of set the stage for just like sharing what you do. But recently it's been a lot of like, okay, we're doing like an open mic beat kind of thing. And like, I know it's always been stuff happening in DC, but I feel like the recent like rising or like ascension of like beat ciphers and culture like that, I definitely feel like it's been stronger in the recent last few years, and we've been a part of that. I got a group that I do stuff with, that I do shows with. We kind of work together on occasion called the Ear Hustlers. So that's what I'm working with and, doing all these shows with, and, hopefully we get some projects out of it too.
Cool. So I think that leads me to my last question. What are you working on now, or like other upcoming projects, either instrumental or with any other artists or anything like that? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I don't have a like a formal project I'm working on, but I make beats all the time, so I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of prepare everything and how I can make certain things work and just kind of like figuring out these next couple of records and what I want to do. So I'm still in the planning stages, but I definitely have some music coming.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm always around the city with my crew. So, I like to, get in where I can fit in.
Sure. That sounds good. All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Let me.
Yeah, Cat Life. And I feel like my Gucci mask matches beat perfect. Special Berriez. Hold up. Wait. Say what you said to my face. Niggas be hating and never relate. Baby girl, I just want hit, not the eight. No, please, baby, come catch me on H. Switch up on me, forever be fake. Catching the play, I'm not catching the case. I said what you said to my face. I got wait. My niggas be peddling weight. I every step on the pedal and race. Now we ain't talking the style of the base. Smoking birthday or weddings cake. Get cake, whatever it takes. About the E, I can never be late. The E, early, never late. And at night I stay protected. That's when the freaks come out. Got some pressure, but